So that's why they say to you, please, majaz is very important. No, I say, and that's number 9, المجاز المزاج. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. When I made my last video about metaphor, I forgot to tell you something very vital that I forgot to mention in the last video. And that is, when you say that Ibn Taymiyyah quoted the Salaf, the ancestors, that they did not divide the language into literal and metaphor. You quote Ibn Taymiyyah saying this, that they didn't. Why didn't you prove him wrong? Why didn't you say, no, you're wrong, Ibn Taymiyyah, the Salaf did, and the evidence is so and so and so? You didn't. You failed. You only criticized him for saying that, but you could not disprove him. That's a good point. How much more if we find a lot of statements of the Salaf saying that you should be taking the attributes of Allah apparently, which means that you are opposing the Salaf. You could not say Ibn Taymiyyah is wrong, but you only criticized him.
The other important point is
why people are inviting us to deal with metaphor, majaz. Those who resort to metaphor are people who have badly thought about Allah. They are participating, similarizing the Jews and the Christians in the matter of distrusting their scriptures. The Jews and the Christians do not trust their scriptures. They know that it contains a lot of problems. So the solution is metaphor. Those people in the body of Islam, they have the same problem. They believe that Allah described himself in unsuitable attributes. He described himself with something that is not fit to his majesty, making him body in a direction similar to his creatures. That's what they claim. So, it consequently leads us to thinking that those people are better in describing Allah than Allah himself. So as a result, the attributes of Allah should not be taken apparently with its apparent meaning, because that will be leading to anthropomorphism, tajseem. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described himself with attributes that suits the human nature which Allah created. That's why they call the attributes of Allah mutashabih, mushkil. It's problematic in their sick perspective, I should say. Because Allah described himself to us for sure. We don't see Allah. So at least let's identify Allah and know about him more and more through only one way, describing himself to us. But those people say that you won't be saved from misguidance if you take those texts of Allah's attributes without accepting the meaning we give you about these attributes. We give you the right meaning. Otherwise, you are anthropomorphist, mujassim. So the way Allah describes himself, it will lead to misguidance. So how can we be saved from misguidance? Take the meaning of those Ashari philosophers. It's dangerous. How glad the Christian and the Jews will be. They even said that taking these attributes with its apparent meaning is kufr. Wallahi, they said it. I'll show you. Look.
This is the book of Asawi, an Ashari Egyptian Maliki scholar. He said, taking the texts of Allah's attributes in the Quran and the Sunnah apparently is kufr. Kufr, that means disbelief. No more Islam. Who's resembling them? Christians. They say the same thing. They say that you should not be taking the false statements in the Bible apparently. It has an internal meaning, batini meaning. So, Asharis and Christians look alike. As-Sanusi said the same thing, taking the apparent text of Allah's attributes in the book and the Sunnah, they lead to the basis of kufr. I like what the Hanbali Imam Ibn Rajab said in his book Fath al-Bari. Fath al-Bari is the same title of the book Fath al-Bari for Ibn Hajar. Now this is the same title, but the author is different. Fath al-Bari for Ibn Rajab. Look what he said. Very beautiful statement. He said, if those leaders of Islam, they knew that taking the apparent meaning is a matter of disbelief, it would become obligatory on them to explore its meanings and to warn the Ummah as a matter of advice. But those are opposing the Salaf. The Salaf say, take these attributes of Allah should be understood apparently. That's what the Salaf said. But the Ash'ari said the other thing. They said if you take it apparently, you're kafir, disbeliever. So the Ash'aris are worse takfiri. They repel us from the body, from the fold of Islam, only if we believe in these attributes apparently, as the Salaf instructed us.
They say it's kufr. It's a blasphemy. If you take these attributes, apparently, you are blaspheming. Unlike the way of the Salaf. The Salaf said, it's tafsir, it's apparent. The tafsir meaning of these attributes are apparent. So the Salaf said, apparent. The Ash'ari said, no. If you take it apparently, you're kafir. If they trust the book of Allah, they would have never been saying something like that, such as أخذ نصوص القرآن والسنة على ظاهرها كفر من أصول الكفر. The apparent understanding of the texts of Allah's attribute apparently is the base, the ground of kufr, blasphemy. How happy Christians will be when they hear that? They'll be saying, for example, we were about to come to Islam, but your Ash'ari people said, wait, don't take the texts of the Quran apparently, otherwise you will return to Christianity. Allahu Akbar. This is horrible. The Salaf, who are our model, they said, take the attributes of Allah ala zahiriha, on its apparent meaning. So who's our model? The Salaf? Or we take the Greek philosophy of Aristotle as a model for us? I wonder. The Ash'aris say, go to him, not to the Salaf. There is no one among the Salaf that said something like that, or saying that you should not be taking the ayat in the Quran about Allah's attributes apparently. In a matter of fact, those Ash'aris, they fall in ilhad. Ilhad يعني to become highly heretic, blasphemer. How? They say that the existence of Allah is metaphorical. Wallahi, I'll show it to you. You watch. One of the Ash'ari debaters, he said it. The existence of Allah is metaphorical.
طيب الآن الله موجود معنا الآن؟ نعم الآن عادي مجازا يطلق عليه بمعنى أن الله موجود ولم يزل موجودا، يعني ما هو باقي، هو أول وهو الآخر، يعني هو موجود وليس يسبقه عدم وهو باق ولن ينعدم، بهذا المعنى. هذا يطلق مجازا وليس للزمان، لأن الله خارج عن الزمان والمكان، نطلق عليها مجازا أنه الآن موجود، بمعنى أنه نعم هو لم يزل موجود. يعني
لما سألتك هل الله عز وجل موجود معنا الآن قلت مجازا. أنت كيف تقول الله عز وجل موجود معنا الآن مجازا؟ لما نقول الله عز وجل موجود معنا الآن مجازا، إيش هذا المجاز هذا؟ موجود معنا الآن مجازا، يعني الله عز وجل كأنه ليس موجود معنا الآن، لكن تجوز أن نطلق عليه العبارة. ماذا؟
How happy the communists will be. They'll be saying to them, hooray, that's great. We've been telling you since 100 years that the existence of God is metaphorical. You know, when you say that Allah's existence is metaphorical, as if you're saying there is no God, in a matter of fact. All of this is because of what? Fleeing away from falling in tajseem, anthropomorphism. The great important point here is to remind the Ash'aris that all of their scholars admitted that majaz, metaphor, is muhtamal, uncertain. So their method of majaz, metaphor, is muhtamal, is a matter of possibility. None of those who said that we should not be taking the attributes of Allah apparently, but we give it an internal meaning. None of them ever said that the ta'weel we give, the majaz we give, is a certain. They all agreed that it's uncertain, possible.
Look at the books. Al-Mustasfa for Al-Ghazali, he said ta'weel is possible. Likewise, Al-Maturidi himself, he said we do not make any claim, we do not allege that our ta'weel is definite, but it's possible. Also, Ibn Hajar said the same thing. No one can claim that his ta'weel is definite.
So you did not solve the problem. Possibility, ihtimal, is not a solution.
It's another problem.
Because you have a problem here. You should not be talking about Allah with possibilities. This is the first question you should be addressing those Ash'aris by saying to them, asking them, is this majaz, metaphor, definite or indefinite? Certain or possible? If they say it's certain, they're lying. All of the scholars, without any disagreement, they said that majaz is possible. Metaphor is possible. Even if we were to agree with you about metaphor, at least you should not be
applying metaphor
in a matter of unseen, and that is Allah. There is no way to know about Allah except by one door, and that door is the door of heaven. There is no way to know about Allah except through that door, from up. So how can you tell if your possibility correct or incorrect? You'll be putting yourself in a risk. This metaphor had opened the gate to all of those false Batini cults to destroy Islam. The other good point, listen to it carefully. This is very important. What if the metaphor did not stop to the limits of the Ash'aris, but it exceeded it to the Mu'tazila. We know that the Mu'tazila are a deviant cult, and Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari was one of them. When he repented, he left them and he started to rebuttal them. Mu'tazila. Now, is it halal on you to use the metaphor but haram on others? Mu'tazila said that seeing Allah at the Day of Judgment, it is metaphoric seeing, which means seeing the reward of Allah. So what makes their metaphor haram and your metaphor halal? They say that the punishment of the grave, it's just like pains, just like the pains you feel in your dream. So the punishment of the grave is metaphoric. Why did he say that? Because if we open the grave and we see the person, he's just like he was buried. We don't see any difference.
We don't see bruises. We don't see burnings. He's normal.
So therefore, we say that Allah does not tell lies. The Prophet does not tell lies. We see the dead person, Christian or a Jew or etc. There's no marks on any punishment. That's why we had to say that the punishment of the grave is metaphoric. Tell me, O Ash'aris, is it haram on them, halal on you? We say in Arabic, this is tahakkumun mahd. This is random kind of ruling. Random kind of ruling. The third important point. The Ash'aris want us to take the metaphor, but there's another Ash'ari cult who disagree with them, and those are the Mufawwida Ash'aris. Those Ash'aris who say that we don't know anything about what it means, the attributes of Allah. It must have a meaning, but we leave the meaning to Allah. We don't know. Now that's a lie, because you differentiate between Allah, the retaliator, and Allah, the kind. This is one attribute, and that's another attribute. So once you differentiate between the two, you're making a lie that you don't know the meaning of the attributes. The hit number 4 or 5. Do we need to take all the attributes of Allah metaphorically or some of them? If you say all the attributes of Allah should be taken metaphorically, this is blasphemy, heresy. How come? All what Allah attributed Himself to us, all of them are metaphoric. If you say not all of them, we'll be asking you, give me the law that defines to us what is allowed for us to use the method of metaphor, and when it is allowed for us to use, and when it is not allowed for us to use. You won't be giving any answer. Number 5. Would you be allowing me to say, for example, you are smart metaphorically? You are smart. Majazan. Metaphorically. Or you are hmar metaphorically. You are donkey. I did it to one Christian because he wanted me to believe in metaphor. When I said that to him, he said to me, you're insulting me. I said, no. I meant to say that your work and activity is very heavy. You are a heavy-duty person. He won't accept it. Or someone said to his wife, you are a dog. What? Oh, I meant by this that you are very loyal to me. Because the dogs are known with their loyalty to their owners. And you are just like the dog in your loyalty to me.
Or to say to your wife, you are so beautiful. You are metaphorically beautiful.
Would she accept it? No. Number 6. The Shia Batini are those who imported that metaphor to us in their stupid, funny interpretation. When Allah said in the 2nd chapter that Musa said to the Jews, Inna Allah ya'murukum an tadhbahu baqara. Allah ordered you to slaughter a cow. What did the Shia say? Allah mentioned the cow here, but he meant by that internally, not externally, internally. He meant by that Aisha, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Allah orders you to slay a cow. It means, oh people, slay Aisha. Number 7. This metaphor will be leading to a doubt in Allah and in the power and ability of expression. They may ask this question: wasn't Allah able to attribute himself with descriptions better than those descriptions which lead us to anthropomorphism and direction, such as saying that he is in the height as-sama and he descends at the last part of the night to offer his forgiveness and mercy and to mount over his throne, and he arises over his throne? Number 8. When those people used the metaphor, they gave worse meanings than the meanings they blocked us from, such as Istawa ala al-arsh, Allah went over his throne. They said that means he recontrolled it. Istawla. Istawa means istawla. Huh? When we say that Israel prevailed Lebanon, that means after Lebanon was out of its control, it was under someone else's control. So when Israel invaded Lebanon, now it becomes powerful over Lebanon. That means before it wasn't powerful. That's what they described Allah with. Istawa, he went over his throne. It means istawla, he recaptured. So who had controlled the throne before Allah recaptured the throne? Or they say that the meaning of Allah has hand, it means he has a power. Wait a minute. Allah dualed his hands. He described to us himself that he has 2 hands when he said to the devil, ما منعك أن تسجد لما خلقت بيدي. What had stopped you from bowing down to the one whom I have created by my 2 hands? We don't say that Allah has dual power. It's just like what we say about the airplane. It has 2 engines. Why it has 2 engines? Because if one engine went off, the other engine will be working. So will any of the 2 powers of Allah will be off? That's why there's a reserve power. I'm showing you the evil of these so-called majaz they're giving. And those people, by the way they describe Allah as Aristotelis, they make Allah sanam, statue. Allah is not allowed to move. Allah is not allowed to speak. Wallahi, that's what they say. Allah is not allowed to come. Allah is not allowed to be in a direction. Otherwise, the direction will be bigger than him, etc., etc., etc. So that's why they say to you, please, majaz is very important. No, I say, and that's number 9, al-majaz al-mazaj. It's funny, but it makes sense. What is the translation? Metaphor is based on the mood. It occurs to you a meaning which I disagree with. So the people will be disagreeing with one another about the meaning. And this is a big problem. And that will be causing to chaos and tempering in Allah's attributes. So I like that statement in Arabic, which I made it. Al-majaz, metaphor. Al-mazaj, based on the mood and opinion. Look, when Allah said to the devil, what had stopped you from bowing down to the one whom I created by my 2 hands? If the 2 hands means the power, then the devil will be rebuttaling Allah, saying to him, and I'm also have been created by your 2 hands, which are power. So why do you prefer him over me? MashaAllah, the devil will be having hujjah. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. See? Allah, when He said that He created Adam by His two hands, Allah wanted to show the significance of Adam's creation over the devil. The devil will be happy with the Asharis, by the way, because they helped him in taking the idea that if your two hands, oh Allah, are your two powers, so you created me by your power also? By your two hands. So the meaning must not be the power. If Allah wanted the meaning to be the power, He won't be dueling His hands. Now, I'm going to give you an example of the horrible metaphor that those Ash'aris are using. In the book, Tabaqat al-Sufiyya, encyclopedic book about the Sufis and their karama. The English, they use the word karma. Karama means superpower that Allah gave them. There was a Sufi whose name is Ali Abu Khuda. Ali Abu Khuda. Now this man, Abdul Wahab al-Sharani, the author of this book, Tabaqat al-Sufiyya, he said that he has a lot of karamat, a lot of superpower that Allah honored him with. And one of them, he is to be sodomizing his slaves. Wallahi, this is in the second part of Tabaqat al-Sufiyya, page 476. Now he's telling his experience with this man. He said, once I met this man, Ali Abu Khuda, and when he saw me, he said to me, sorry to say that, 18 plus, احذر أن تنيكك أمك. Watch out that your mother will be F-U-C-K-U. So I said to one of his slaves, what did the Sheikh mean by that? He said, he is warning you that the love of life, dunya, will be entering your heart because the dunya is your mother. So watch out that your mother will be F-U-C-K-U. Oh my God. That's horrible. That's the metaphor. That's metaphor. So your mother is metaphorically mentioned. F-U-C-K is metaphoric. It means don't let the life enter your heart. That's the heart. And that's the life. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. That's what their books mention. In another book, Jami' Karamat al-Awliya, the encyclopedia of the saints' allies, miracles. There used to be a female saint, Waliya. She was visited by two disciples. They sat down with her. They took knowledge from her. They slept at her house. One of them, he had an idea, an evil idea came to his mind, and that is to enter to her room and try to do something nasty to her. He entered, and he saw her naked, and she did not say anything like, get out, what are you doing? No. She let him. He wanted to touch her. He touched her,
and she allowed him, apparently, حسب الظاهر.
And he found that her body become just like a piece of wood. He was horrified. Look, you can see the text. You can see the document. I don't speak lies. I dedicated my life to warn people from his guidance. Shirk. Shirk and innovation. Now, the man said the softest spot in the woman's body are the two breasts. As he touched the two breasts, he found them also just like a piece of wood. So as he started to touch her, she allowed him to touch her zahiran. He touched her metaphorically. He touched her metaphorically, and she allowed him metaphorically. She allowed him to touch the apparent body of her, not the internal body of her. So in the morning, she sat down on her corner, making her tasbih. And when the man appeared to her, he was extremely ashamed. And he asked her to forgive him. She said, never mind, my son, never mind, don't worry. So, this is metaphoric zina. And she allowed it. And she is saint. This is disgusting. Therefore, I remind you of the important thing. Those people did not trust what Allah described himself, thinking that they can describe him with better than what he described himself. They are similarizing the Jews and the Christians in distrusting the book of Allah. And they're calling us, they're ordering us to follow metaphor, which they themselves admitted that it's not definite, but it's possible. That is why I had to defend the Aqidah of Ahl Sunnah, that they do not deal with this metaphor. It's not important. What is the alternative? Is the context. The context will tell you, as I explained before. That's enough for this topic. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.